Howdy, and welcome to another wonderful trash take. Unfortunately, there has been another crazy, I don't even know if it's called a terrorist attack. It was a migrant that tried to fucking behead someone. A Sudanese migrant that tried to behead someone in Northern Ireland in the middle of the road, in the absolute middle of the road. And apparently, the original police report, the police were letting the community know about this attack, saying someone was assaulted to the face. So, that's definitely the government downplaying a migrant that has probably been brought into the country, given all this luxury lifestyle benefits given to them at no cost whatsoever, who is now upset for some way, shape, or form, and is deciding to take it out in the way they know how. An absolute blood feud of trying to chop someone's head off in the middle of the road. And there is a video to go along with it. I will not be playing the full video. I will be playing, or at least showing, a still screenshot of the incident of him straddling the guy's head who he is actively trying to cut off. There's a gory video for this. Now, I am drawing the line at showing someone dying live. Now, there are some previous videos I have covered on this channel. Ukrainian refugee, I showed the moments leading up to her death and the moments after. I did not show her getting stabbed. Henry Nowak, I showed the moments after he was stabbed, leading to his unfortunate passing, and I will be doing the same thing here of showing basically the situation of that. From what they're saying, though, this guy is not dead, but he might be alive, maybe. And if he is, that would be crazy, because this guy, he's trying to chop this man's head off with what looks like a knife, just a random knife, just trying to cut a man's head off in the middle of the road, without a care in the world. The man that you're importing into your country that shares no culture, no ethics, no morals similar to yours is now trying to chop a man's head off in the middle of the road. And I can't really say anything besides, that anyone with a brain could have told you this would eventually happen. This is what happens when countries allow unfiltered immigration into their country. You're going to get bad people. Acting like that doesn't happen is retarded levels of logic. Pretending like this was never going to happen is what leftists are doing, because they would rather say you're wrong for feeling upset about it than admit the fact that they made a mistake with their unfiltered immigration. Because that would then shift responsibility from the overarching system that they've created to the individual in power. And they would rather just point to some overarching system always, because it's never about the group. It's never about the individual and their mistakes. It's about the group and how the group shares collective responsibility for literally everything. I'm going to start off by showing a New York Post that's kind of summarizing what happened here. It's, I guess, their graphic content of it not showing up here, probably because it got copyright claimed. I don't know. But Sudanese migrant. Originally, it was being reported that this guy was Somalian. They couldn't really tell. The government themselves would not really give more information, but it looks like it got leaked that he is Sudanese, not Somalian. Sudanese migrant has been arrested for a barbaric video that shows him trying to behead another man in the middle of the UK street. Scenes likened to something out of a horror movie. I'm sorry, what they meant to say here was a normal... Let me zoom in here so y'all can see a little better. What they meant to say here is a normal Tuesday in Africa, a normal Tuesday in the Middle East, because you've imported people from these countries with cultures that are incompatible with Western society, and now something as simple as making someone upset now is going to result in a man almost being beheaded in the middle of the street. I'm not saying this guy did anything to justify the attack. I'm not saying the migrants are right in any way, shape, or form. I'm saying you're importing the third world, you're becoming the third fucking world. Common sense shit, I know, it's not as common anymore, but unfortunately, if you call a spade, you get called a racist now. And this is where you end up in a society where you're afraid to be called racist. For maybe saying, hey, we're not importing the best people, let's maybe add a little bit more filters here to make sure we're adding people to society that will be a net benefit. Oh, you're a racist bigot. You think they're not as good as you because they're not your same skin color. Didn't say that in any way, shape, or form, but that's where the leftists ultimately go. It's their racism of low expectations and their internal bias. They just inflect on individuals that disagree with them. They make them the racist that they are internally. They're just externalizing it by blaming you for it. Anyways, the horrific footage shows a blood-soaked knife man pinning down a victim in Northern Ireland late Monday and attacked a local politician branded as barbaric and medieval. Like I said, a normal Tuesday in Africa, a normal Tuesday in the Middle East. Doesn't matter, the point's the same. The bloodied victim is desperately kicking his legs, true, and he repeatedly stabbed him in the head and the neck. A video shared in Turning Point UK shows. Yeah, this is him, the absolute state of Europe being conquered right now. I think this summarizes it pretty well of how conquered Europe is. You've imported people who do not give a fuck about you, who have gotten everything for free, and the moment they might have to do something or the moment something doesn't go their way, this is their reaction. It's the reaction of a child who never grew up. If you don't want this to happen, your only option is to vote out literally every piece of government who says we need to keep importing this. That is your only way to even start doing this. Because the governments now are so mind-fucked that being racist is the worst thing humanly possible, is they will continually turn a blind eye to individuals that are showing antisocial behaviors that would lead to something like this. Because it's never just, he's here, and now he tries to kill someone. There's about 40 points on a graph showing in a straight line that this man's eventually going to do something, and if you point it out, you're a racist bigot. Every fucking time. So it's only a matter of time till I'm inevitably proven right here. And if I am wrong, if this was a upstanding citizen who just had a bad day, please let me know in the comments. I know it's not going to happen, though, because I have a brain and I can make an easy assumption based on the situation at hand and the geopolitical connotations going on in Europe and Western countries right now. I can make some pretty easy guesses because the people saying nothing's wrong are the ones enabling this bad behavior. But, like I said, it's the scenes of basically this man trying to cut a man's head off, and it looks like people ran up and eventually did help him. Arrested on the suspicion of murder, which is just fucking hilarious. Yeah, guys, we suspect he tried to murder this man. He's on video in 4K doing this, but, you know, suspicious. And bystanders did attempt to help this guy, which is the right thing to do. If you'll notice the content of their character rushing in to help a man trying to behead, rushing in to save a man that is actively almost beheaded. This is the kind of shit you want in your country. People who are able to do this, to stand up for what they see as objectively evil, opposed to sitting on their ass and waiting for the police to intervene. If this guy lives, they 100% saved his life. That is literally, he would have died without them there. He would have succeeded in cutting the head off because you had one woman filming and everyone else just watching. Horrific lovers rushed over. One clobbered the attacker with a stick and the others tried to free his grip on the victim. Yep. The victim, unidentified local man in his 40s, was left with significant injuries to his eyes and serious slash wounds to his back and his face, police said, in a brutal attempted murder. Northern Ireland police initially said a man in his 30s believed to be Somalian has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder before clarifying he was Sudanese, blaming a mix-up of the fast time investigation. Racist bigots! They didn't get the attempted murderer's country of origin correct. What a bunch of racist bigots! Stupid. What you really want here is to see where the bad eggs are coming from, what countries they are coming from, and making sure the rules are going to be enforced in a way that they can fairly ensure that everyone from every country is getting their attempt, if you're going to have an asylum-seeking program, getting a fair attempt in, and making sure people from a country with a history of violence are vetted in a way to where they're not letting the violence seep into their country. That is a reasonable ask. Absolutely reasonable. Doesn't happen, though. Not in any way, shape, or form. It's a bureaucracy. You're going to have some low-level management retard that's just blatantly stamping, yap, serial killer, yap, child rapist, yap, I've wanted for attempt to murder his home country, yap, oh, he's a 40-year-old saying he's 16, yap, go ahead and enroll him in public education schools, too, because that's also been happening, and that's happened in the USA, that's happened in the UK, it's probably happening everywhere where these mass migrations are taking place, because they honestly can't vet these people. That's the real solution, or that's the real reality. Why is there a bug in here? God, I hate the summer. I love the summer, but now I got bugs. That is the unfortunate reality of the situation, is they cannot vet the sheer amount of people coming in adequately. So this will always happen. This will continue to happen until they actually fix their vetting process. Will they fix it? No, because any calls to actually stop the unfiltered flow of migration are met by screams of racism and bigotry and every other retarded person who has an IQ below 60 screaming that you can't do this anymore, that this is a hateful thing to do. Because they don't want you to fix the problem. They want to keep importing the problem because the problem might be their culture, it might be their community, it might be people who actually are part of their identity. Not your identity, though. Not your culture, not your people. Unfortunate, but that's the reality of the situation. People are still unsure of a motive of the barbaric attack, but so far they have no information that suggests that this was a terrorist-related incident. I don't know. I think that strikes terror in plenty of people. Terrorism is the act of striking terror into people. Terrorist attack, I get it's more connotations of like, oh, you try to cause a mass murder event, but I gotta say, brutally chopping someone's head off in the middle of the road, or trying to at least, I definitely define as terrorism, an act of striking terror into others. And I'm telling you my definition here in case you disagree. But I don't care either way. Ryan Henderson, the assistant of the chief constable of the police services of Northern Ireland, said in a press conference, blah, blah, blah. I must stress that we are in the early stages of the investigation. He cautioned, don't you do any racist bigotry now. Don't you do that. This brutal assault has sent shockwaves through our communities, and I want to reassure all of our communities your safety is our priority. What communities would that be? The migrants? The communities the Sudanese man might be from? That just tried to behead someone? You want to make sure, hey guys, let's not do anything rash here. We've just been allowing people into the country that are trying to murder the populace here. Let's not have any hateful feedback or hateful commentary online. Let's not have any riots in the street over this. We just had Henry Nowak, who died from inhumanity, from the inhumane treatment, who while was dying was treated inhumanely by the police and forced into handcuffs in his last moments on this earth. And now we have a migrant trying to murder someone. Mind you, the person who killed Henry Nowak was a brown guy who claimed a racism occurred that would magically make the 5+ stab wounds disappear, because that's the level of intelligence of the individuals they're bringing into the country. But that's just what they're showing. They're showing their intelligence. And I'm just observing it. Not my fault. I've never seen anything in my life like that. It's shocking. Like I said, this is a normal Tuesday in the Middle East. This is a normal Tuesday in Africa. This is a very common occurrence. Like, I don't, like, go watch live leak videos. I'm not telling you to actively go seek death, but importing the third world and being surprised when they start doing barbaric third world behaviors is on you for being a fucking idiot and not expecting that in the first place. I really don't know what to tell you here. This guy didn't deserve this. In no way, shape, or form did he deserve this. But the people that have enabled it have been allowed into positions of power to enable it. They've been telling you they're going to do it. They've been telling you it's a good thing that it's happening, in fact. And now you have a video to show them, hey, this is that good thing you said was going to happen. And they'll say it's an isolated incident, and they'll say you're racist for showing it, and then they'll try to get it banned on social media, or try to arrest people for being upset about it. But they'll never actually fix the problem, because that would have to mean they admit there's a problem and that they were wrong. Two things they will never do. They'll call for guys. Don't let this be used by the racist bigots online. Don't do that, and then you'll look at their Twitter history, and it's 20 tweets about how we should burn the entire world down over George fucking Floyd. Every fucking time these people talk about don't turn this into a tragedy, are the same people that turned George Floyd, a fentanyl meth head who pointed a gun at a pregnant woman, into a tragedy. Then they lowered him into the ground in a gold fucking coffin. Yeah, the same people that tell you, don't you feel empathy for this man almost being brutally beheaded in the middle of the street, were crying tears and rioting in the streets over a fent head meth head who pointed a gun at a pregnant woman. No, maybe pick your idols a little more carefully. I'm digressing. Let's move on. This is, like I said, the New York Post. This is their Twitter article where I linked it from. Lord Miles, who got famous for going to Afghanistan and just saying he's a lord and just interviewing the Taliban and praying they didn't kill him. Actually, they didn't kill him, and he just made content about it. He's a funny guy. But anyways, he talked about what's going on in Belfast in group chats. Belfast going crazy night over the recent attempted beheading. Every Irishman I know in Belfast is taking place in riots later today. Protests and Catholic together, Protestants and Catholic together bizarrely. Well, yeah, they have something common, a religion of some way, shape, or form. At least they are religious. I'm not sure you can claim religion for trying to behead someone. Actually, there's one religion I could think of that probably would call this an honor killing, but I'm not even going to dive into that. The UK government are scrambling to bring in riot police. Irish patriots are telling every white business to close their doors early tonight. Ooh, yikes. Try to see some crazy videos in the next few hours. The city is going to burn. And then supposedly there's a mass mobilization of both Irish nationalists and unionists meeting from all over the country in about 20 different locations to discuss a plan of action. Closed over 30 businesses at 5 p.m. All businesses closing early to get employees home safely and as far from the city center as possible. And good buddies of mine office entirely closed today and all the employees told to stay home. People that aren't retarded know the backlash on this is going to be fucking wild. Why? Because this is a boiling point. This is a boiling point. This keeps happening. And the people are going unheard. What happens when the people's woes go unheard? I don't know. What happened in The Tale of Two Cities? Great book. Wonderful reenactment of the French Revolution. Wonderful storytelling of the French Revolution. How did that end? How many heads were rolling? Not saying they're going to be executing their parliament members and not implying that they should. I'm just saying that's what historically happens when people's woes go unheard. There's another guy that's making fun of all the retards online. Because like I said, in wokeness, broke this on Twitter. This motherfucker broke it. He said African migrant just tried to behead a white man in northern Belfast, Ireland. Video is too graphic to post. That's entirely true. That is entirely fucking true. The video on this is horrendously graphic. If this man lives, I don't even know if I'll post the video. It's one of those where this is just a man being tortured. It's just torture. It's just a fucking torture video. But someone pointing out, it's the billionaires, wrong. It's the alt-right, wrong. It's the manosphere, wrong. It's the video of the Africans beheading people in the street that are making people more right-wing. Because if you see this video and you think, what the fuck? How did this happen? And your first thought is, oh, he's an African migrant. Why was he allowed in the country? Then you're thinking the right way. And that's what the government doesn't want you to think. They don't want you to think the right way. They want you to think the way they told you to think. They want you to say this is an isolated incident. This has never occurred. It will never happen again. Anyone saying that this has anything to do with this man's ethnicity, religion, his background, you're totally wrong and you're completely bigoted. Those are those people. They'll tell you to completely ignore your common sense and say, oh, the government's right about this, guys. Let's not rush to decisions. I think you have some pretty common groundwork here for mass re-immigration in a lot of Western countries. But my personal opinion, I don't want this happening in my country, and I'll be voting for anyone who can tell me this won't happen. I'm an American, though, so blah, blah, blah. No, N10 has refused to say whether the suspect in Belfast was beheading entered the UK illegally, and this is a point of contention, and I'll get here in a second. This is Robert Lowe, MP. I don't know who he is. Another British patriot, probably running for Parliament or something. I don't know their country's politics that well. I'm still educating myself there. Forgive me here. the arrested Sudanese man was an asylum seeker. Now, that's a topic as an American I know a lot about. Let me digress. So, in America, what's an asylum seeker? It's someone seeking asylum. I know it's crazy, but all you have to do is just go to the border, at least under Joe Biden, say I'm gay, and the country I'm living in doesn't like gay people. Congratulations. You're now seeking asylum. That's all that fucking means. It's just a misnomer for an illegal alien who shows up at the border that then declares themselves of, I'm seeking refuge, please help me. What are you seeking refuge from? Oh, this country's bigoted and they want to kill me. Okay, and then they look at their travel history, and then since they've been entered into the country 12 months ago, they've traveled back to their home country 4 times. The country they were seeking asylum from. And I'm saying this because apparently this happens literally to almost all the asylum seekers that are going to the UK are then taking trips back to Africa to see their families and friends and then bringing them money and whatever they can. Because they're never actually asylum seekers. They're not seeking asylums. They're economic migrants that want to go to the place that has the most benefits or the most handouts. That's it. That's all it boils down to. Anyone that's falling for this misnomer still is a literal fucking retard who hasn't been paying attention to literally anything besides a CNN article that uses the word asylum seeker. And they're thinking, oh my God, it's women and children trying to get away from a genocide. Nope. It's war-age men being mass imported. There was a chart that actually came out from the UK allowing asylum seekers in, and it was 90% men. 90%. They're not seeking asylum. They're not. They're invading your fucking country is what that actually means. But I'm digressing. Let's go back to his tweet. He entered Britain in February of 2023 and immediately claimed asylum, according to police, i.e. illegal alien that got caught and said, I'm here for asylum, because he knows the magic words to say, because all the NGOs that the American taxpayers have been accidentally paying for, thanks to the Democrats in power. They've been slushing off funds from Congress to go to non-governmental organizations that have been then trying to mass import illegal aliens, letting them know you can claim asylum, get to this country illegally, maybe have a child, maybe become a citizen, and then you get to vote for the same people that allowed you to get here. That's what it is. It's like a big pyramid scheme to funnel voters into the countries. They try to import a new voter class in one way, shape, or one form or another is what it boils down to. But anyways, he says who was the immigration minister at the time, and then when the man was granted leave to remain in our country, reforms Robert Jenrick. No idea who that is. Definitely don't vote for that guy in any way, shape, or form. Maybe hold a trial to see him complicit for allowing this behavior. I'd say that's reasonable. Who was Home Secretary? Suella Braverman. Yeah, same thing. That guy, hold a trial as well. Yeah, try both these people. Anyone who improved his paperwork for seeking asylum, try them as well as an accessory to murder. That'll fix this problem immediately. They'll actually have to think twice if the people they're approving into the country could turn out to be radical fucking extremists that try to behead someone in the middle of the fucking road. Yeah, that would fix that problem if you start holding more people accountable. But accountability is not something that leftists ever like to see. They like to hide behind the slush of the government, and the actions of the individual are never their fault. It's always the group's fault. But digressing again. They were responsible for our borders. They failed in the most horrific way with the most horrific consequences. A restore Britain government will abolish the entire asylum system. Yeah, you probably need that at this point. Probably do need that at this point. If the asylum, if the people they're bringing in here aren't integrating, you should probably very much stop immigration. If they aren't integrating, stop immigration. Not a hard concept to understand, but if you want to keep your country, your culture, and your identity, something similar to where your kids will be able to understand, you should 100% stop anyone that is not integrating. Deport them. Re-immigrate them. Whatever the fuck you want to call it. Get rid of them immediately. Not saying execute them. We can still go civil routes here before Adolf Hitler 3.0 spawns in these countries. We can still go civil routes here. But if you don't go those civil routes, I can tell you where you're going to end up. And it's not going to be beautiful. This isn't a threat in any way, shape, or form. What happened with Nazi Germany can be easily repeated. The people's woes went unanswered until a radical actually took control of the government. And by God, he listened to the people's woes in a way to where he started mass exterminating people. Like I'm bringing it ahead. Not saying anyone wanting immigration or re-immigration is a Nazi. No, I'm just saying if you don't listen to the people, you're going to get someone that's worse than a Nazi. Because they will fix this problem in a way to where they will completely take the reins of power. And as me as an American, probably going to have to go over and send troops, or myself, because they're fucking raising the age of conscription again, to go there and stop actual tyranny. Because that will eventually happen with the way the world is going right now. There are so many issues that are being ignored that the woes of the people are going to get louder and louder until someone is elected. And they might not just stop at deporting them. They might try to go further. That's an actual situation that is being set up by the modern retards in power. The modern leftists that call you Hitler are actually trying to spawn an Adolf Hitler. That's the irony here. No more asylum seekers. Anyone who entered the country illegally will be deported regardless of current status. Yep. There is nothing wrong with that statement whatsoever. Nothing. That is how it should be. You entered illegally. Oh, you're an asylum seeker? Well, go seek asylum from your home country. Do it the right way so we can ensure we know who you are and your history, so we don't let a child rapist into the country just because they claim to be an asylum seeker and they lied about who they were and they lied about their age. They lied about what they did and they lied about what country they're from. You know, really basic stuff that they cannot confirm. Yeah, that's why they're doing it. Bad apples are able to get through way easier. And this is something I saw too that just kind of made sense to me. Imagine the levels of propaganda it took to make you more comfortable with a random beheading and gang rapes than being called a racist. How mind-fucked is a country to where you have people that are actually saying, don't say anything about this, don't complain, stop complaining. And I'm gonna show that now because people are doing it. They do it every fucking time. This retard here. A lot of men up in arms over the attack in North Belfast who have said absolutely nothing to say femicide levels in Northern Ireland, the most deadly place to be a woman in the UK and Ireland. Why is it the most deadly place? What people are being imported that would be targeting women? Would it be the southwestern Asian gangs, like in the UK? The Muslims, the Middle Easterns? Would it be those people? Huh. Whipping up rage and anger because an immigrant is involved tells you everything about their motives. Yeah, they want less fucking immigrants. What race is an immigrant? Because what she's trying to do here is imply you're racist. What race is a fucking immigrant? This is something I lose my hair over. Blatantly racist people that think an immigrant's only a brown person or an African or like a Muslim. That's it. There are blatantly racist people out there that don't think white people can be immigrants. And I'm just like, why are you so openly racist and how have you survived so long? And it's because the system actually protects these retards. Yeah, the system in place actually lets these racist people say this shit as some moral high ground when it's just them being fucking racist. Wild. I'm going to play a video now of the guy who just made a statement. I'm going to kind of let it play without me interrupting too much, hopefully. I am a little autistic, so forgive me.
Good morning, everybody. I've just watched the most horrific footage from Northern Ireland, from Belfast, of one man on top of another with a knife, obviously screaming and shouting. Some patriots effectively attempted to intervene. I don't know what has happened to the victim, but it didn't look good.
They said he's in critical condition. If this guy lives, that is a literal fucking miracle. It's like Donald Trump dodging that retard assassin's bullet that hit him in the ear. Same level of miracle. Divine intervention. Because the video is alarmingly disgusting. It is horrendous.
I now call for the police with full transparency to disclose the ethnicity and immigration status of the person who perpetrated the attack. This is a disappointingly growing trend, which is affecting all of us.
He wants to know what country are they from, did they come here legally or illegally, and why weren't they removed already? Is he getting a special privilege because of his skin color? Like we saw with the Henry Nowak story, the police responded to the brown people and listened to their claims over a kid coughing up blood, bleeding out, saying he's stabbed and can't breathe. Is this the same thing where there's a racist system in place that is absolutely benefiting these people from specific groups or skin colors or identities? I'm willing to bet there is. That's the thing about actual racism that's been ingrained into most of these societies. It didn't exist at one single level. It's completely isolated. No, the entire fucking system has racism ingrained in it in some way, shape, or form. The question is, can you see it? Is it easily found? Or is it so deeply ingrained it's the individuals that are in charge slowly encroaching policies that you don't realize it? Like, oh guys, this year we didn't hit a quota from enough African countries, so we're going to go ahead and stop asylum seeker claims from this other country. That's what it boils down to. Are they playing favoritism between these races? Are there people that are trying to come in that are the wrong skin color and they're not allowing them in versus this individual who was allowed in? There are people that are being actively discriminated against in all of these systems because the bureaucracy, the blob, employs any fucking retard with maybe room temperature IQ to do a job. And that job, well, it can be as shitty as they want because they won't fire them if they're doing their job. That's just how bureaucracy works in America. You can be the laziest sack of shit and work for the government, and you'll basically never be fired as long as you meet their arbitrary metric. Stupid. But if that person's racist and they're letting their bias come through, or if there's a policy in place that says value people from this ethnic group over others. Like in America, I'm bringing it back to America. I'm an American. Like in America, where Ivy League schools are absolutely putting African Americans ahead of every other race, white people and Asian people, other minority groups, where their grades are significantly lower, but they're being admitted at such a higher rate. That's very clear the people that are at the immense group are racist. They are openly favoring African Americans over everyone else, over every other minority group. Why is that? Because the system has now put racist policy and racist people in place. And even if the policy is removed, the people aren't. The system will continue till everything's removed and fixed.
It stems from immigration, largely. It stems from the fact that there's a whole industry of people who have made vast amounts of money propagating an industry called the human rights industry, which basically has fed off the back of the legal complexities surrounding human rights law.
Yeah, so what they do is they get into the country, they commit a murder, and then they say it's a human rights violation to actually deport this guy back to his home country because he might get the death penalty, and that's a human rights violation. So now you can't deport him, so now he gets to live in your prisons till the rest of his days. And I'm not even making this up. This literally happens all over Europe. Every time there's a case that goes crazy like this, it's always the same retarded lawyers that have used the case law of it's a human rights violation. Now you're responsible for making sure this individual is well kept for the rest of his days. A just society would put this dog down like he deserves. Unfortunately, we don't have that with the retards in power.
Those are people like Keir Starmer, Lord Hermer.
Lord
a
Hermer.
whole raft of people who I think put their own interests above those of the safety
Probably,
of
yeah.
the British people.
Well, yeah, because more than likely they live in gated communities with police escorts 24/7. They will never face the consequences of their actions of allowing unfiltered immigration. Same thing in America. They're the same rich people who live in gated communities, never face the consequences for their actions. That's literally how most of Congress is. All the people calling for gun bans are almost always people who don't go to Walmart. There's a one-to-one correlation there.
People. And it's time we got some honesty from the police force, who are paid for the British taxpayer, paid for by the British taxpayer. They're supposed to serve the British taxpayer, and they're supposed to keep us all safe. We can quite clearly see with the recent tragic death of Henry Novak, we can see two-tier policing. And now I think I call for total transparency. If you have transparency, you have truth. And from truth, you can actually start to deal with the issues that are causing the problem.
The issue is anyone with a brain can tell you what the issue is, in fact. That's why they don't want transparency. They want to keep trying to lie to you and obfuscate as many ways as possible so they can claim total ignorance and make it completely impossible to have reasonable discussion. The left does this thing where they completely misinterpret every single thing, thus making discussion impossible. It's a very famous tweet that's gone viral many times over because it is actually what these people do. They act like complete retards whose it's their first fucking day on Earth and it's not possible to have a conversation with them. And they do it intentionally, so that way they can't ever be educated. They will intentionally misunderstand you every step of the way, never give you any good faith arguments, and misinterpret every single thing you say. Why? Because they think it's the right thing to do, because you're the bad guy, sweaty. Literally, it's like retards that never grew up. That's all it is. I don't engage with people like that for the most part. When they're in my comment section, I like ban them within a few comments. I'll let them say some retarded shit, and then they'll eventually boil down to them typing 4 paragraphs about them and how I've completely misunderstood them when I've completely acknowledged every point they've said while they've deflected 20 times in a row, and how I'm actually the bad guy. So they're just banned. Like, they do it every single time. It's almost so extremely common because all they can do is exist in a carefully constructed echo chamber. And when you start pulling it apart, all they do is start screaming at the top of their lungs that, no, you can't do this. Which, in fact, you try to bring them back into reality is what you're doing. And they don't want to be in reality. They want to live in their fantasy. But good statement. I'm not going to listen to the last part of it. But we have a grade A retard coming out of the woodworks yet again. We need calm heads. The calm heads that are currently in positions of power that enabled this system for this man to almost be brutally beheaded in the middle of the street. Those calm heads? You want them still? Oh, wait, is this a joke that he tried to behead him? Is this like a double entendre here? Is this a joke? Muslim mother who claimed asylum in the UK. I'm willing to bet it's not a fucking joke. It's very important that people like Robert Lord, Elon Musk, and Nigel Farage and others don't use this horrific Belfast incident to whip up hostility and division amongst minorities, migrants, and there should be another comma here, and Muslims against Muslims living in the UK. Guys, You shouldn't be complaining that the people they've imported are now trying to behead your citizens in the streets. You want to make an omelet? You got to break some eggs. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. We all agree that this incident is disgusting and horrific. Well, that's all you need to say. That's all you need to say. Why are you saying all this? Why are you saying all this? Oh, because you don't want people to be upset about this thing. You want them to be upset about this other thing. You want everyone else to completely capitulate to everything that you feel while you dismiss everything they feel. It's not empathy. It's not. Selective empathy. Something that a lot of individuals who say they are empathetic and more empathetic than others, actually they lack any real empathy, which is fucking horrendous. And it's a very commonality in today's modern society because the modern left is an entire party like this. They have no real empathy. They cry tears for children arrested by ICE. Well, turns out their parents abandoned them, and ICE are now making sure that the kids don't freeze to death in the street. But here's a 20 Twitter posts about how this is horrible. It's got a bajillion likes on it. It's been community noted, but that was a few days afterwards. You know, it takes a while to actually get the real news out there. Now it's moved on from their heads. They'll never be corrected on their retarded stance. They'll never actually be brought to reality. They'll post tweets that make them feel good and then they'll lock replies so no one can comment on it. It's the same shit, different day. We have the legend himself, the Roach King, chiming in. These are calm heads, actually. Keep running defense for the communities and reframe accountability as racism, and you will find that out. Yeah, buddy. They're not going to stop at deporting this guy. They're going to deport all of it. They're going to deport everyone that's similar to him. The commonalities between that man will be the commonality in the deportation efforts taking place. Whatever they may be. Could be race. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend it was going to be race here. I'm not going to play in that hypothetical. Why? Because there's probably 20 other points on a graph that shows this man should have been deported that were completely ignored. That's the real reality of the situation. How do I know that? How do I know that? It's called common fucking sense. At some point, you can realize there's a lot of bad behavior that goes completely unchecked and uncorrected by society until these individuals do something so grave it can no longer be ignored. And now they're held actually accountable for their actions one time. But now in this guy's case, like I said, they'll call it a human rights violation for actually trying to deport him, and he'll never be deported. He'll never face the death penalty. He should, honestly. That's why you need the death penalty, to put monsters like this down, to remind the rest of the world, if we're going to bring you into our country, you're going to be respectful or you're going to leave. Whether you're going to heaven or hell, who cares? You're leaving. Whether you're going back to your home country, that's on your terms, buddy, but you're leaving. And it always brings me back to Norm Macdonald, a man who died well before his time. What terrifies me is if ISIS were to detonate a nuclear device and kill 50 million Americans, imagine the backlash. Imagine the backlash against the peaceful Muslims. This was Norm in 2016 pointing out the double standard of the selective empathy that the left shows in America, because they don't actually care about you. They want you to care about everything they say while hand-waving everything you say. That's the truth. This was actually something I missed in my due diligence. I went back to look to see if there's anything else that was important, and I found this, a banger title from the BBC. And I want you guys to tell me what this could be referencing. Man taken to hospital with serious injuries after stabbing. Guys, what could this be referencing? Let's find out. Clicking the link live to show you takes you to the same picture. It's the same incident. Man arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after brutal knife attack in Belfast. Well, they updated the title. They updated the title now. This was 11 hours ago. The video of the beheading basically broke the same time this story did. The video broke at the same time, and this is how the BBC chooses to phrase it. Propaganda is alive and well. You can immediately tell because look what the leftists say versus look at the fucking video of it actually happening. These are the people who tell you your empathy is not allowed. These are the enemy. Yet again, another tragedy that didn't have to happen, brought to you by the government in charge. If you're upset, do everything you can to vote them out. That's your best bet. That is your best bet. There will be riots from this, and I probably will be covering them. In fact, as I'm editing this, I'll look to see if there's any riots. So, if you see any riot videos past here, now you know why. But if not, thank you guys very much for tuning in. I hope you had a wonderful time. This is terrifying to see, but it keeps happening. And it's going to keep happening till changes are made, till the people's woes are listened to. And that's the hardest part, is getting a government who's actually willing to listen to the people and doesn't just get in power and then start trying to do everything they can to capitulate to a new voter class, which is the vast majority of the politicians in all parts of the world will do. They'll just keep voting. They'll just keep importing a new voter class because it's way easier to meet the woes of a third worlder who's never had electricity than a migrant, than a fourth generation individual whose family is now grown up and kids can't get an apartment because the government's given them out to those migrants. It's the truth of the situation. It's the absolute truth of the situation. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. I hope you had a wonderful time. If you like this video, if you like, comment, or subscribe, and I hopefully see you guys in the next one. Until then, later.